Well, good evening, everyone. My favorite UPS driver just left, and he brought something that I've been waiting for a few days here. This is a Wilson Electronics, now known as WeBoost, in-vehicle cell phone booster. And this is the Drive 4G-M model. Now, I own a few of these Wilson boosters already. I got one permanently installed in the house, and I also have one installed in my truck. And I've been very happy with both of them. I actually bought this one here to replace the one in my truck, because this is a 4G model. The one in my truck I've had for quite a number of years, and it's a 3G only model. However, this weekend I am prepping my Suzuki Sidekick for an off-road trip over in Eastern Oregon. I'm heading over there in a few days with a bunch of buddies, and the cell phone service is spotty or non-existent over there. So I thought that tonight I'd go ahead and at least temporarily install this cell phone booster in the Sidekick, and I'll test it out over there in Eastern Oregon. Alright, we've got our booster unpackaged here, and this is what comes in the kit. We've got our power supply right here. This is a 12 volt to 6 volt converter, and it comes with a cigarette lighter plug, and that's what we're going to use tonight to install it in the Sidekick. When I install this thing permanently in my truck, I'll go ahead and clip the wires here and hardwire it into a 12 volt power source. But since it's just going in the Sidekick temporarily, we'll just go ahead and use this plug. We've got our external antenna here. This is about maybe 4 inches long, and it's a mag mount type antenna. We'll go ahead and just mount this on the roof of the Sidekick. We've got our interior antenna right here, and this just needs to go somewhere close to where the cellular device is going to be inside the vehicle, and I keep my cell phone usually in a RAM mount on the dash, so we'll go ahead and hide this somewhere, maybe up on the dash, something like that, just to keep it close to my cell phone. And then we've got the actual amplifier itself right here. Got a series of lights right here that tells us the status of the amplifier. Make sure it's working, make sure we don't have any feedback loops going or anything like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and install this under the passenger seat in the Sidekick, again, just temporarily for this trip. So let's go ahead, get to work, get this stuff plugged in. Okay, first things first, I'm going to take this external antenna. I'm going to go ahead and mount it up here, centered on the vehicle, near the back. And what I think I'm going to do is just run the cable underneath this weather channel right here, and have it pop right down right here and go in this back door. And then it's going to go inside of some plastic molding right here, and that ought to keep it out of my way. Make sure it doesn't get tangled up in anything during the trip. I got everything hooked up under the seat. I think what I'm going to do is take this inside antenna and actually just put it in this pocket right here below the stereo. Kind of wedge it in there. And that ought to put it close enough. I'm going to have my phone mounted to the dash with a RAM mount. Either that or maybe be holding it up to my ear if I'm talking, but either way, it ought to be close enough to that inside antenna to work properly. Alright, we've got her all plugged in and ready to go. We'll go ahead and turn on the power here. We'll check the lights on the repeater unit and make sure everything looks good, and then we'll go ahead and get the phone and make sure we're getting a good signal. Alright, we got 4 green lights, and that's what we want to see. That means this thing's up and running properly, we don't have any feedback or anything like that, and it's repeating the cell signal on all 4 bands. So we'll go ahead and get our phone and set it up in the Sidekick here and make sure it's working. Okay, I have my cell phone sitting on the dash of the Sidekick here, and I've got a free signal strength meter installed here, and as you can see, it's pegged low. and it shows that I have no service. And that's pretty typical out here in the shop. Every now and then I might get 1 bar. So it's actually showing right now, it's showing that I got 1 bar of voice, but no data. So we'll go ahead and turn on the repeater. Now it will take a few moments for the repeater to come up and for the cell phone to change to data, but it should hopefully get some 4G service here. Alright, I've had the phone sitting on the dash with the booster on here for a few minutes. And as you can see, our decibel meter is now right around -102, and it's showing 3 bars of 4G service, which is awesome. It means the Wilson booster is working perfect. I don't even get 4G service if I'm standing outside in my yard on a clear sunny day. So to have it work here inside the vehicle, inside of my shop, where I normally don't have any service at all, that's great. Super happy with it. So this installation was a success, and I'll look forward to having some good cell phone coverage out there in Eastern Oregon next week. Well, it's been a couple of months since I went on that backcountry camping and exploring trip in the Sidekick, and I'm happy to report that that 4G booster worked great on the trip. I had 4G service throughout the entire trip. There wasn't a single time that I checked that I was without it. When I'd get out of the vehicle with my phone, the service would go away. When I get back in, it would come right back. So the booster worked great. I was very happy with it. Now, as I mentioned, the installation in the Sidekick was just temporary. I went ahead and moved the booster to my truck after the trip was over. Now the booster that I used to have in my truck is this 3G booster right here, also a Wilson booster, and it worked great. I never had any problems with it. I just happened to set a ladder on the antenna by accident and broke it, and that's what spurred me on to buy the 4G one to replace it. So anyway, let's go outside and look at the truck. I'll show you how I've installed it in there. Now, as I said, I wanted to make this more of a permanent installation, so I've hidden things away a little bit better. You can see the antenna right there. It's quite a bit smaller than the old 3G antenna is. I ran the cable in behind the interior panels right along the top of the back door, down the B pillar, or excuse me, down the A pillar, and in behind the dash. And the actual booster unit is sitting in a void that's right behind where my light switch and stuff is here. And then my interior antenna actually sits on top of my radio right here. I almost always leave my phone right here in this cradle, and so this is an excellent location for the interior antenna because it's always very close to my phone. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop the dash off and show you the location of the components. Okay, and as you can see, the Wilson booster, basically everything's just zip tied right down in that little cavity right there. It's just the perfect size. There's a little bit of room for it to move around without bending the cables with any sharp bends or kinks. And then I've actually got the power supply just wired in with the stereo's power supply. So when I turn the key to the aux or the run positions, then the booster powers up. Then my interior antenna is actually just sticky taped right there. Just sitting right on top of the stereo.